episode of the Woman Within You podcast is sponsored by William Raver's First in Town's realtor Ayana Taylor. Visit her website at ayanataylor@ravis.com. Hi, this is Tracy, and welcome to the Woman Within You podcast. I have a special guest with me today. Hey, who are you?
Hi, Patrice. Hi, everybody out there. This is Ayana Taylor. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much for joining me today.
Very excited to be here.
I'm very excited to have you. This is a long time coming.
I know. I know we've been talking about it, but finally we are here.
All right, and I'm so happy that you are here. So, Ayana, today I kind of want to talk to the listeners because we've been doing a financial series that we ended season 2 with. And so we're going to start season 3 with our financial series because you have a real estate license and you do real estate in the state of Connecticut, right?
Correct.
And I want our listeners to know about, let's kind of bust some of the myths about real estate and buying a home and being a landlord. Now, I bought my first house when I was 24 years old.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
Yes.
Clap it up for you.
Oh. I was saying I need like little sound effects for that.
Yes, right.
I was 24 years old and I watched HGTV all the time. Now, at the time, I wasn't making, the budget of a house that was HGTV, but I had the mind frame that I wanted a house that you would see on HGTV. So when the realtors took me out, it was really culture shock for me.
Absolutely. That is very, very common, especially for first-time home buyers, especially for younger home buyers. We're not millennials, but right now the millennials that are coming out of college and, they make this money now and they're trying to buy a house. They have HGTV and it's showing them these amazing mini mansions. And I have to kind of giggle and laugh because it's like, how are they affording that? And, those memes that you see where, I collect sticks for a living and my wife, my wife is a stay-at-home mom, but our budget is $750,000. And I just, we just have to giggle and laugh about it because it is just for TV. But yes, you're absolutely right. You come out with this, I'm going to have this, big, huge home and I only want to pay $1,000 a month for it. And you're not, you're not alone. You're not alone.
So my budget when I was buying a house was $150,000 because they told me, and I want you to talk about a little bit about the pre-approval process because you shouldn't be looking for a home. Am I right? You shouldn't be looking for a home unless you've actually spoken to.
Yeah.
Ooh.
First things first. So if someone calls me, they see a listing that I've posted, on Facebook or on the website or on realtor.com or Zillow, they'll reach out. And the first thing I have to ask as a realtor, a real estate professional is to say, who's doing your loan? Who have you reached out to about being pre-approved? Because if you go out without being pre-approved, not only are you wasting your time, but you're wasting mine too, because we don't know what the price point is. So let's just say you haven't spoken to your local, loan officer, or you just go down to your bank and get a pre-approval letter, which is super easy to get done. It doesn't mean you have to go with that actual loan that they're offering you because they're going to run and be excited that you even came in for, a home loan. But just getting a pre-approval letter that is based on your income and your debt to income ratio is the best.
What does that mean?
Oh.
Debt to income ratio.
Okay, I'm sorry. So debt to income ratio, that means, what do you have that you're paying on right now, from student loans to your car note to credit card bills, and your income, how much you're bringing in, biweekly or every month from your job. So your debt versus your income, and where does it show that you have room to purchase a home and be able to spend money on a mortgage every month.
That makes sense. So I get a pre-approval letter. I call you because I see a listing that you have, or I call you because I want you to help me
Exactly. So referrals happen all the time. Somebody might say, you know what, my husband and I just got married, or hey, I just got out of school. I'm looking for I'm looking for something. I don't want to rent anymore, whatever the case may be. And they'll say, passing with a friend, and that's how I get my referrals. It's usually a friend of a friend or a family member or someone that I've already worked with, and they say, hey, I have this pre-approval letter. What's next?
So if I want to buy a house, or if one of our listeners want to buy a house, and, we hear on the TV that there is a mortgage crisis and pre-approvals are on an all-time low, and I have to have a certain credit score. What if I don't have good credit? What do I do?
Okay. The best thing you can do if your credit isn't so great, and there's a lot of myths with that. I can't tell you there's a magic number per se, because back to that debt to income ratio, let's just say you got into some hiccups along the way and your credit score dipped. But let's just also say in the past 3 years, you've been promoted 2 times and now you're making enough money to, sort of square those things away. The magic number used to be if you got into some hiccups, it would take about 7 years to clean up your credit. That's not actually true these days.
Oh.
Right. So you're able to repair things sooner than that. Let's just say you had a large credit card bill and you weren't paying anything on it. It went into, a default situation, but now you're cleaning it up. You're overpaying on your minimum payments, things like that. You can clean up your credit in a couple of years, to be honest.
Really? So that 7-year...
that magic number of 7 years, like the 7-year bad luck, even a bankruptcy, it doesn't even take 7 years these days. If you're doing what you need to do and you're working with someone that knows what they're doing to help you with paying off your debts and clearing things up, it shouldn't even take 7 years. You should be able to buy another house if you're doing what you need to do sooner than that.
Wow, I did not know that. So much for the myths. Right. So what about investment properties?
That's hot right now because let's just say you own a home and you come into some cash, or you've been saving up. People are doing that now. They're flipping houses, going back to HGTV.
It looks so easy.
It looks so easy to flip a house, and I'm going to buy this property, and it looks like a mess now, but, me and my boys are going to get this property, and we're going to flip it, and we're going to sell it for this X amount of money. What I'm seeing, especially in Connecticut right now, is not as much flipping houses to resell, but I'm seeing a lot of, like you say, flipping properties to invest in for rentals and things of that nature.
Now, Ayana, so I have had, that house that I bought at 24?
Yes.
Well, when my husband and I decided to buy our current home, I decided to be a landlord, and I decided to rent out that property. It didn't go so well.
Okay, yeah.
It didn't go so well. People don't take care of your stuff the way that you would take care of your stuff. And also, people don't like to pay the rent.
No.
They don't like to pay it, and they don't like to pay it on time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then they get mad at you because they didn't pay the rent either at all or on time.
Yes.
How? Like, what?
Yes, you're literally preaching to the choir. So I've had that happen to me. My first home my condo that I bought, oh my goodness. Yep, I was in my 20s too. I just had my daughter, bought this condo. You couldn't tell me anything. And when we moved into, the home, I kept the condo because we couldn't resell. At that time, it was just a time where you just really couldn't get the return on what we owed on it. And a lot of people were, in that boat at that time. Exactly. It was underwater. So what we did was posted it to be rented. First tenant, amazing. She was awesome. Second tenants, not so much. Had to get my uncle, who's an attorney, involved. It got kind of messy. But being a realtor now that I know what I know, I probably could have saved it, and I would have been able to do my due diligence more by hiring possibly a professional to manage the property. I didn't know what I was doing. And sometimes we do that. We bite off more than we can chew. Yeah. At that time, I had 2 children working. when they call me about, a plumbing issue, it's like, oh my goodness, I really couldn't do as much as I thought I could do as a landlord. And in turn, situations happened and kind of escalated. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. So there are definitely horror stories about being a landlord, but I know some good stories too.
You do?
Yeah.
I don't know it. But, so I actually recently sold that property.
Congratulations.
I think now is an appropriate time to tell you a testimony in regards to that property. So, like I said, I had tenants. I had actually 2 sets of tenants that came in. The second set, I believe, were supposed to buy, but something happened and ended up going with another property. That's fine. So I actually picked up the phone book and just opened to a page, and I called the first number on the page because I said, I'm not going to deal with this property anymore. I'm going to call a property management company.
Yeah.
So so the person answered the phone. Yes, we do property management, but at the time the tenants had not moved out of the place.
Okay.
And so when they finally moved out, which was, they were supposed to move out in January or end of January, when they finally moved out in March, I picked up that same phone. So now this is 2 months later. I picked up the same phone and I called a property management company, and the same woman answered, and she said, oh, I'll meet you at the property just to walk the property. I said, they just moved out yesterday.
Perfect.
Let's walk the property. So she met me at my lunch break, and I walked in and I immediately started crying.
Oh my goodness.
Not because the property was completely destroyed, because I'm not going to say that it was completely destroyed, but prior to these tenants moving in, I had actually put $3,000 worth of work into the place. I put brand new carpet. I had it painted. There was a little wall repairs and things that needed to be done. And when I walked in, I said, there's no way I could rent this without putting more money in it. The carpet wasn't destroyed, but there was, different colors on the wall, and, I would have to kill that paint and put regular paint in there. And it's just like, I just saw dollars and cents. And so she's looking at me and she's like, oh, don't cry. And so she says, well, we can list the property for rent because it's not really that bad.
Yeah.
She said, but why don't we do for rent and for sale, and we'll put it on there for a week and we'll see
what happens.
What happens.
Mm-hmm.
2 hours later.
That's awesome.
I received a phone call. This house is not on the market. It's not ready to rent, and it's not ready to buy. She had put coming soon.
Yep. Yeah.
Someone had wanted to show that day. 2 hours later.
That's crazy.
3 hours later, I had an offer.
Boom. I love it. We love to hear that.
I didn't have time to think about getting a realtor. I didn't have time for any of that.
Get it done. It
just happened. And you have to understand, like, I had already tried to sell this property for about 4 years prior to this 3-hour window of me, having a nervous breakdown and someone purchasing it. Like, it was crazy. It took 4 months to get from, the offer to the closing, because there was just so many different things and so many different obstacles, and they were going through a program where they had, a checklist of rules, and I had to come out of pocket so much money, but I didn't lose.
Nope.
I didn't lose money.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the reason why is I said, God must be giving me double for my trouble, because everything just happened so fast.
I'm telling you.
It had 3 hours.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't even on the market. It's just like they must have got a hit, or I don't know. She explained it to me. She said, oh no, it's not out for the general public yet. It was just like
just brokers and licensed realtors that can see coming soon.
Right.
Yeah.
No pictures.
No.
No nothing.
Nope.
Nothing.
That's a blessing. And that's what we hope happens. It doesn't always happen like that, but that's what we kind of hope that will happen. And you're absolutely right. It is a blessing because, and it's also timing, God's timing, because you could be ready to buy something or sell something tomorrow, but the market is very fickle. It's the timing of everything. And you got to think about it too. I tell my clients, whether they're selling or they are buying, what's for you is for you. If it didn't work out, it wasn't supposed to be for you. So the people who are supposed to buy your home, it was for them. So had it 4 years ago, those weren't the people that were supposed to be in the home.
The situation that happened 4 years ago, we were 2 days before closing, and then they asked for a reappraisal. And then it fell through because it had reappraised less than what I needed.
Other homes must have dipped in price.
Yeah, because that was around the time when there was foreclosure.
Okay.
But this scenario just really worked itself out, and I hadn't shared with anyone that I was going through so much trying to get to the other side. And I hadn't even shared with anybody that it had went under contract. I didn't even really share with anyone that I was trying to sell because everything just happened so fast. And I have so many realtor friends, and everyone probably would be like, wait, why didn't you list with me? I'm like, but I didn't list with anybody.
You didn't list, right.
It happened.
It's an emotional roller coaster that people don't realize will happen. And I definitely preface it with my first time home buyers because I don't think they realize you can walk into a home and immediately be emotionally invested. Immediately. Mm-hmm. So to your point about selling, I mean, this is a home that you actually lived in. There's emotional attachment to it as well. So I think people don't take into account the fact that when you try to let go of something that you had not only a financial but emotional attachment where your family lived there, it is difficult to let go of that. And it's difficult to see someone be in the space and not care about it as much as you did. So it's all those things when you're buying or you're selling where the emotions are running super high. And as realtors, you're on the roller coaster with them. Absolutely. If you're a good realtor anyway.
It's definitely, I think for me, I thought it was going to be so simple. Even when at 24, when I went in completely blind, not knowing what I was doing, I saw so many houses and I was like, ew, there's wallpaper, ew, there's a stripe down the, like not knowing that it's just the coat of paint, Patrice.
Yep. Absolutely. It's little cosmetic things. I remember I had a closing last Friday and I worked together with these clients for a year, which is lengthy, very long time. But at the same point, I wouldn't rush into anything unless you have to rush. Let's just say it's a sell, you need to sell in order to buy. Yep. Then you may feel like the time frame is a little tighter. But if this is your first time buying, and let's just say you're at home or you're renting and your lease isn't up for another year, take your time. Because what you'll find is the things that you turned your nose up to in the beginning, at the end, you're like, oh, that's easy. I mean, this one client, she said, look at you, I'm talking just like you. Oh, that's cosmetic, using words like I use. Exactly, a coat of paint. And if you're not a painter, you can find someone to do it. You might have friends over and have a painting party, things like that. And what you'll find also, you put your personal touch on things. You have to have vision. My mother always says, Ayana, you have vision. I don't have that vision. She's like, if the house has any furniture at all, my mother's like, I can't see it. I'm like, my goodness. So every house has to be completely empty. Oh my goodness. But as you have personal touch. Everybody has their own personal style. And you have to close your eyes and not see yourself in the place, feel yourself in that space. And that's how you know the home is for you.
That's interesting. Feel yourself in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to talk about the mortgage because I have to be honest with you. My mortgage was cheaper than my rent. Right. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just throwing away money and giving it to someone else when I could be building equity and building a legacy really for my children.
Absolutely. I'm just an advocate for owning. My grandmother bought her first home on Brook Street in Hartford in the 50s. And that just didn't happen at that time as a Black woman. And so for me, home ownership is just a sense of pride for our culture because we were unable to own anything. Right. So a few generations back. So for me, it's necessary if you can. Stack your little money and, find out about these programs because I think people are afraid of the word mortgage. It's just like rent, but you don't get to write anything off at the end of the year. The landlord does. So that scary word mortgage, I mean, honestly, if you bank with X bank, go on down there and say, I'd like to talk to a mortgage officer, a loan officer about, just some things, can my credit be pulled what does it look like for me? What would I need to do to qualify for down payment assistance? There's so many programs out there that I would really insist, especially women of color, to do is to really look into it. Since if you're still renting after 10, 15 years, think about what you could have done by now, and be able to actually paint the colors, of the walls, or, just have that pride of driving up to your own home.
I feel like a lot of people think that you need a significant amount of money in order to buy a house. But I'll be honest with you. At 24 years old, I had $3,000 saved from 2 years worth of income taxes at the time. It was myself and my son. And I remember saying to myself, how on earth can I buy property if I don't have like $10,000, $15,000? And they said, oh no, honey, you're going to go through a program. And the program I went through was CHFA. It was Connecticut Housing Finance Authority. And if you listen to the podcast, you may have heard my mother talk about CHFA in season 1, where she talked about helping people get mortgages and stuff. And she didn't help me get my mortgage per se, but she introduced me to the program, and I sat in a class and they showed me how to budget my money. And to this day, at 24 years old, when I sat in that class, I still budget my money in the same way. It was I paid close attention, and they gave me a certificate, and it was my down payment.
Boom. I'm telling you, these programs and in the programs that are out there, I mean, one that I want to shout out is, the Urban League. Yes, the Urban League has programs right there. I went to the Urban League dinners a few years ago, and it was a woman in her late 60s, and she was one of the speakers to say, at that age in Hartford, she was able to buy her first home by going through one of those programs, and it was a CHFA loan, and she went through this whole process. I don't know if it was Saturdays or whatever the case was, and she went through, and it's basically, showing them how to budget, showing you like what you can do to make sure that this generational curse, because we have this thing going on of not being able to save our money. Money burns a hole in our pockets, right? And you don't have to have a lot, but you do need to realize that, there's a difference between being late on your rent, or not paying your rent, and not paying your mortgage. So to your point about budgeting, just a class like that, I think we all could, use
Absolutely.
a class like that about budgeting and expenses and writing things out, so that at the end of the month, we can pay for groceries, maybe we'd like to go out to dinner once a month or something like that. So we're not, it's an old school quote, house poor. So we're not in over. My mother used to say that. Yeah, exactly. Where you're in over your head trying to keep up with this person and that, and on paper it looks like you can afford that, but can you really? Because you're spending your money on whatever you're spending it on. We all have our little vices. But yes, I think that it's important for people to understand these programs are out there.
Perfect. So, what do you say to the millennial that is kind of like, okay, I'm living with my parents. I don't want to be here anymore because I don't want to live by their rules. Maybe I just graduated from college. Maybe I got my first job at the Travelers. Maybe I'm a social worker.
Yeah.
And I don't know, am I to buy a house or a condo? Like, how do you know which one? I don't know. How do you know?
Okay, so everybody is different. It is difficult to say house versus condo, but I would say this. A lot of condos or these PUDs, these developments have fees. And you need to tack that on, because even, when your loan officer gives you like the breakdown of what your mortgage bottom line will be, lest we forget that fee, that condo fee, that might include trash removal, snow removal, grass, all those things. So if you keep that in mind, that it is an extra cost, but that might be worth your while if you're that busy person at the Travelers, or you travel for work and you know there's no way in the world you mowing anybody's lawn. Or whatever the case may be. Maybe daddy gonna come and mow it. I don't know, whatever the case may be. But I would say 2 tips. Stay home as long as possible, because there's minimal overhead. Even if you have to, and I've done this too, start handing over to your parent, or getting a separate account that they're attached to as well, so that you can't touch the money. Saving is key. Stacking your money is key. Even if you say to yourself, Mommy, I'm going to give you $1,000 a month so I can get used to that going away. You know what I mean? And I don't know a parent in the world that wouldn't help you do that. Hold that money, or hold you accountable to do that while you're sitting there, so you're not just on the couch or in the basement. You're there for a reason. You're paying your dues so that it will turn out to be, the reason for you staying at home, because it's not fun being at home. I've done it. But it is cheap. So if you can do something cheap as long as possible and stack your money, condo or home, whatever the case may be, you'll be prepared for it financially.
So now, I want to buy a house. You're my realtor. What do I have to pay you for you to help me buy a house?
Okay. So realtors do not get paid until there's a closing. And the buyer does not pay the realtor. The seller does.
Say that again.
The buyer does not pay the realtor. The seller does, all out of the commission, because they leave most closings with a check. So the seller pays both realtors, or if there's one realtor or there's no realtor at all, they pay those fees and such. The buyer, I guess basically the gift of you choosing that realtor, you don't have to pay them anything. So like I said, I was working with a client for a year. It took a year for that payout, and it did not come from her. It came from the seller.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Are there any other hidden fees or costs associated with, we're going to do buying a home and selling a home. So buying.
Okay, buying. We cannot forget the inspection. I would suggest, if you're buying anything, condo, mansion in the hills, you need to have an inspection done on the home. A reputable inspector, your realtor would know, give you a few suggestions. You give them a call, and that's a few $100s, where they are checking the meat and potatoes of the home. They're up on the roof, they're in the basement, they're in the crawl space, making sure there's nothing that you can't, visually see to the naked eye, anything that is, wrong with the place. And then it's buyer beware. It's up to you to say, I'll take the home anyway, or can the seller make these concessions or changes, or, adjust the price or money back, whatever the negotiation is. But I would say the thing that people are most shocked about is inspection. For what? You need an inspection done. Absolutely. Attorneys fees, there's all types of things. And those line items can be laid out to you by your mortgage officer or your attorney. Will explain where every dime goes.
Now, what about the sellers?
Okay, so the seller, if your home is in tip-top shape, you should be fine. But most people's homes looked lived in. So there's extra fees that a lot of, real estate offices may tack on to help you with that. I mean, I've done tie my hair up, put on some sneakers and some, in a hoodie, and I've cleaned houses and do what I need to do to make sure that the listing looks like it needs to look, smells like it needs to smell. And a good realtor will give you tips on how you can make your home show as beautifully as possible.
So that's awesome. How can people get in touch with you?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So you can reach out to me. I'm on social media, Facebook, Ayana Taylor Realtor, and that's Ayana, Ayana, Taylor, Taylor, Realtor. You can reach me at Ayana, AyanaTaylor.revis.com. And you can also reach out to me via email, Ayana.Taylor@revis.com.
So you can contact Ayana if you live in Connecticut.
Connecticut.
What about, are you licensed anywhere else?
I'm not licensed anywhere else. However, I do referrals all the time, and I do have realtors that I know personally from here to Florida. So if let's just say you're thinking about selling here and buying in Florida, I have a client that's doing that. I do have realtors down in the Florida area, which a lot of people are doing. My father is planning to move south as well, and it's helpful to get a soft handoff, because sometimes when you look in a book or you Google somebody, you don't know who you're getting on the other line. So if you do know of a realtor here, and you might even put it on Facebook, I'm looking for a realtor in the area of Georgia, and let us realtors chime in with people we may know in the area.
Perfect. So Ayana, at every episode we do an affirmation, and it kind of gets us through our week. So today, the affirmation is, I believe in myself. I am powerful. I can do great things. I can overcome any hardships. I am unstoppable.
I love it.
Love it, right?
Love it.
So that will be on our website as well as our social media pages, www.thewomanwithinyou.com, as well as our Facebook and Instagram at The Woman Within You. And I thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was a lot of information. And if you have questions, you can always contact her on social media, Ayana Taylor, Realtor, and she'll be happy to assist you, answer any questions, or point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. If I don't know, I have no problem passing you off to someone that is more knowledgeable. Absolutely.
So I thank you, and I thank you so much for listening. And remember, you are strong, you are fearless, and most of all, you are beautiful. Have a wonderful week.